I wish I had a dragon shirt. I can't believe I don't have a dragon shirt. I have so many printed shirts in my wardrobe, but none of the shirts that I have dragons on them. I have a Godzilla shirt. Maybe that would have been more appropriate for this than like this. I don't know. I have this like white dad barbecue fishing shirt. This is my grandfather's shirt, by the way. This is actually, I'm wearing my grandfather's clothing. And this is something that he gave to me because he didn't want it. That's my sense of style in a nutshell. I have oh, look at that. There's the artist name on there. Guy Harvey, I think that's what that says. Look up Guy Harvey's illustrations. He does some really nice swordfish illustrations. But anyway, I have to stop talking about my shirt and start talking about drawing dragons. My ultimate comfort zone as an artist is drawing dragons. Ever since I could lift a pencil, I've enjoyed doing it, and growing up, I had all of the required literature for any aspiring dragon nerd. I had Dragonology, of course, a myriad of young adult novels concerning dragons and plucky tweens who befriended them, and probably 20 to 30 different how to draw dragon books, each with varying degrees of helpful information. How to draw books were always kind of hit or miss for me. My favorite one was Dragon Art by J. Neon Dragon Peffer. Yeah, you know it's a good how to draw book when the author's pseudonym is definitely their online handle from when they were 16. I actually found out somewhat recently that Jessica Peffer actually did the artwork for the browser-based game Flight Rising, and is still very active in the online art community, so if you're looking for some good dragon art, you should definitely check her out. But even now that I've graduated from copying how to draw books and, well, graduated from college with a degree in illustration, I still love to draw dragons. So much so that I've decided to keep up my annual tradition of Smaugust, drawing a dragon every day for the month of August. It's been a while since I've documented one of these challenges with weekly video uploads to my YouTube channel, but since I've been having so much fun with this year's Smaugust, I decided to bring it back. In this video, we'll look at the first 7 illustrations from my Smaugust 2025 challenge. I'll talk to you a bit about my universe and experience starting off with this challenge, and then I'll do a little in-universe reading of the lore that I wrote for each dragon design. Before the month even started, I was debating whether or not I should even participate in Smaugust this year. It wasn't until I had the idea to make a Pokemon-inspired journey through an island filled with dragons that I became excited about the daunting task of drawing a dragon every day for a whole month. I wanted to have another opportunity to talk about real-world nature through my art, incorporating fields of science like ecology and zoology into a fantasy world of dragons, and positioning the audience in the perspective of an aspiring dragon researcher. You'd start your journey with a partner dragon, like in Pokemon, then gradually work your way through the island encountering people, animals, and other dragons that would gradually become more powerful as the month progressed. My prompt list reflects this journey, starting with the prompt farmland and ending with a final boss, and in between, all sorts of environments for encountering dragons ranging from forests to outer space. Alright, now, if you've been with me before on one of these drawing challenges, you know how I feel about gatekeeping mythical creatures. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten comments like, oh, this isn't a dragon, it's actually a wyvern, or, stuff like that. Well, PhDs in Dragonology will be happy to know that for this month's drawing challenge, I've actually come up with my own set of rules describing exactly what is and isn't a dragon. Well, actually, I don't know if I described what isn't a dragon. Pretty much anything that isn't a dragon isn't a dragon. At least in this case. During the lore reading of this week's dragons, you'll hear the narrator refer to dracomorphs. This branch of the animal kingdom exists only in my fictional world and refers to all dragons, including worms, wyverns, kirins, and a whole host of other fantasy creatures. If you want to think of it scientifically, imagine that dragon refers to an entire class of animals, alongside mammals, birds, fish, and reptiles. Within the class Dracomorph, there exist many different families, genuses, and species, including true dragons, but they are all, technically, dragons. Usually I don't go into all this kind of technical mumbo-jumbo because in the past, such arbitrary classification was irrelevant to the kind of art that I was making. However, since the focus of this month's challenge was on appreciating nature, it felt more appropriate to have a scientific approach to creating dragons. My artist journey so far has taken me from a very cartoony beginning, embracing the Pokemon inspiration far more literally, to much more realistic illustrations, heavily referencing real animals like lions, vultures, and even roosters. If you're interested in hearing more about my illustration process, consider becoming a channel member or a Patreon supporter. I'm going to be uploading a much more in-depth video about my Smaugust illustrations at the end of the month, like what I did with Mermay. Supporters of the channel will have exclusive access to this video, as well as a bunch of other fun perks as well. For now though, enjoy the lore reading for this week's Smaugust illustrations, and feel free to leave any kinds of thoughts, critiques, or questions down below in the comments.
All Drake Seekers begin their journey with a thorough education of dragonology. At their final commencement, they will be able to meet a selection of young dragons that have been raised in captivity and are very easy to train. Drake Seekers don't pick their partner. The process is mutual. Dragons and humans pair off and begin a long journey together, exploring the vast expanse of Weird Island, working together to study and document the many different species of dragons found there. You finished your studies, and now the time has come to meet your first partner dragon. Are any of these fledglings speaking to you? There's the sun-scaled Leo Drake, a close relative of the true dragons, and a bit of a handful if you don't keep your eye on them. They have a feisty personality, and hate being left out. Younglings like this one are known for impish behavior, biting at ankles, and scratching a little bit harder than they mean to. They can't yet fly, and instead resort to scampering around, jumping and climbing with surprising speed. The iridescent horn on their heads can emanate a faint light if exposed to the sun for a long enough period of time. Then you have the shallow sea sawtooth, a sea serpent with an impressive appetite. Don't worry, if you teach them young to only eat the food they're given, they won't be any threat to humans. They are more intelligent than most people give them credit for. In the wild, adults teach their young how to hunt, socialize, and survive. A domesticated sawtooth must be shown the same care and attention they would receive in the wild. They can walk fine on land, but much prefer to swim, so plan your route so that you're never too far from water. Finally, there's the greater barrow dragon. He might be small now, but they're called greater barrow dragons for a reason. Be sure to raise this young one right, because ending up on one of these creatures' bad sides means big trouble. They're adept flyers, even at a young age, and can run, climb, and swim fairly well. They're stubborn, though, and slightly more difficult to train. Each greater barrow dragon is different. You'll have to figure out the best way to motivate your partner, or be stuck with the angriest dead weight a Drake Seeker could find. The start of your journey will take you through the human settlements of Weird Island. These small populations are self-sufficient, farming their own food and selling produce to the mainland. There aren't many dragons to be found in these parts of the island, but you might encounter a few. The common crowclaw is a member of the cockatrice family, a small group of dracomorphs closely related to true dragons. They're mostly flightless, but use their larger dorsal wings to make themselves seem bigger. They also have a nasty spur on their wings that tends to catch people by surprise. What looks like a harmless smack with a wing might cost you an eye. Crowclaws are small but very territorial. The males will chase off any perceived threats, spitting venom at surprising distances. They're also incessant pests. Local farmers keep massive dogs that will chase off unwelcomed crowclaws, as these dracomorphs have a taste for fowl eggs. Some people believe that if one of your chickens is killed by a cockatrice, the entire flock must be culled. They say that the malice of the cockatrice will spread from hen to hen, eventually causing them to become cannibalistic and uncontrollably violent. Just outside the human settlements of Weird Island are miles and miles of undeveloped land. These hilly meadows are home to all kinds of plants and animals, including a few dragons. Amma's swincorn is a fully terrestrial dracomorph from the Kieran family. Like their cousins, the true dragons, swincorns exhibit behaviors and features of both mammals and reptiles. They are swift and agile, able to leap great distances with ease. They are silent when need be, but have a haunting cry that echoes through the valleys like a mournful song. Amma's swincorn grows a long mane from their back, covering the remnants of their long vestigial dorsal wings and from their lower jaw. This fur is neither hair nor feather, but rather a plant-like fiber that will sometimes grow within it other flowering plants. Both male and females boast an impressive horn made from a strange material like a combination of ivory and wood. It is sturdy, but surprisingly lightweight. This, combined with the natural beauty of the horns, means they command a high price on the black market. At one point, the population of Amma's swincorn was almost wiped out on Weird Island, hunted to the brink of extinction for their beautiful horns. From the vast meadows, you'll journey into Weird Island's dense forests. Under this lush cover of trees are concealed many strange and wonderful creatures. Ghostly white deer, jackalopes and talking ravens, owl bears, giant snails, and of course, dragons. The Greenock calls these forests home, and these true dragons are known well by the people of Weird Island. Reclusive by nature, but highly dangerous, Greenocks live in isolation and hunt anything from small rabbits and birds to deer, wolves, and other dragons. They prefer to hunt by ambushing their prey on the ground, but some Greenocks have been documented hunting from the sky, dive-bombing from great heights to catch larger prey unaware. Though they're generally skittish enough to avoid humans, their young are very curious and have been known to approach visitors to the forest unprompted. It might seem like they're lost and alone, looking for a kind drake seeker to give them a new home, but chances are that mommy is watching somewhere in the trees. Be very, very careful if you encounter a Greenock chick. It is often asked among new drake seekers, if not friend, then why friend-shaped? But experienced drake seekers have another saying: fuck around and find out. Beyond the forests of Weird Island, great mountains rise like walls of an ancient kingdom. Some travelers scale the sheer faces to reach the other side, but most opt to cut through by way of an intricate cave system. A number of these tunnels appear to have been man-made, but others are natural, formed over millions of years as the waters from rain and melting snow carve away at the rock. Be wary. One wrong turn might find you hopelessly lost, and at the mercy of some of the cave's more unfriendly residents. The two-faced salamander is no mere amphibian. These massive cave dwellers are dracomorphs, and every bit as ravenous as their true dragon cousins. They emit an eerie bioluminescent glow that, if refracted by water, can light up an entire cave. Stay away from these glowing pools. If at any point you notice two large purple eyes staring at you from below the surface, it may already be too late. These false eyes have a strangely hypnotic effect, dulling your senses just long enough for the salamander to lunge from the water and swallow you whole. The truly terrifying thing about these false eyes, however, is that their main purpose is to intimidate predators that would have a fully grown salamander for lunch. If you choose to navigate up and around the mountains to avoid the dangers of the caves, you might find yourself faced with a whole host of other problems. The mountains are steep, and during heavy rain or snow become nearly impossible to climb. Not to mention the fauna, just as hostile and ruthless as the mountain they call home. The Roanoke is a close relative of the Greenock, and the familial resemblance is apparent. However, unlike their forest-dwelling relatives, Roanocks are not shy. You will most likely hear them before you see them. Roanocks don't rely on stealth to hunt their prey. They bellow from rocky perches, piercing the silence of the mountains with a deafening roar. They are larger and slower than the Greenocks, but they do have a unique weapon that they are quick to employ: fire breath. Most greenhorn drake seekers will have their first fire-breathing dragon encounter with a Roanoke, and if they survive, they will never forget it. If an adult Roanoke has selected you as its prey, there's very little you can do to defend yourself. Your best bet is to stick to shelter routes up the mountain, using cliffs, shrubs, and bushes to stay hidden. Ronix will always take the easier meal, and if you're too hot for them to reach, they'll lose interest quickly. Congratulations! You've made it over, or through, the mountains, and have now found yourself at the sprawling steppes of Weird Island. For miles, it seems there is nothing but endless yellow grass, dotted with sparse shrubbery, and surrounded on the north and west by mountains. But there is life here, and more than you might think, including a thriving population of human farmers that use the Great Plains to raise sheep, cattle, and horses. They will warn you of the gristlewing, a medium-sized two-dragon species with a taste for bone marrow. They mainly scavenge from dead animals, but larger gristlewing have been known to hunt down living prey. Though they are true dragons, gristlewing are known for, well, their wings, all four of them. Their hind limbs have evolved as a second pair of feathered wings, able to function both as legs for walking and to gain extra lift and sustained gliding when in the air. Because of this unique way of keeping airborne, most gristlewing prefer not to hunt, and rather glide effortlessly over the steppes looking for the dead or dying. If you find yourself growing fatigued as you traverse this leg of your journey, be wary of passing shadows overhead. Any sign of weakness will cause hungry gristlewings to fly in for a closer look, and if you appear weak enough, they'll help expedite the process of dying of thirst.
You know, I'm not the only artist following along with my prompt list this year. In the Smaugust channel of the Subjectively Discord, we have a bunch of other artists working alongside me to create some awesome dragon illustrations. If you're intrigued by this challenge and would like a community to help you grow as an artist, feel free to join our Discord and share your work in the Smaugust channel for a chance to be featured in one of these videos. Thanks for watching, everyone. I can't wait to get back to drawing dragons, and if you're participating in this year's Smaugust as well, I wish you all the best of luck. I'll see you all in the next week's Smaugust video. Peace.